Well, Jim, let me get a few more topics and questions here this week. This was sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com by Les Winslow. These are the Korean Wrestling Awards.
Now, I'm sorry, what?
Well, specifically the South Korean Pro Wrestling Forum Awards. I guess there's a forum for the South Korean Pro Wrestling community.
Well, now, hold on. Now, narrow this down. Is it a forum for South Korean pro wrestlers or a forum of wrestling fans in South Korea who are watching? Do they have pro wrestling in South Korea? What the is going on here?
I'm not sure. I've attached translated results for both best and worst if you're curious how South Korean internet marks think of the current American product.
Okay, well, there we go. So it's the South Korean fans viewing the American product. Yes, I am curious.
I have the best and worst list. Do you want the best of everything or the worst of everything?
Give me, let's see what they consider the best.
Best male wrestler, Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
Best
shocking. I'm just, that's not a shocking thing to say.
Best female wrestler, Liv Morgan.
Well, I agree less, but they haven't gone off the beam too far.
Best team of the year, Solo Sikoa's Bloodline.
Well, okay, they're not technically a tag team. It's a group, but, okay.
Best heel of the year, Solo Sikoa.
They're liking the Bloodline over there a lot, aren't they? I don't know if I wouldn't talk about Drew McIntyre or someone of that nature, but again.
Best babyface, best worker, and best champion of the year, Cody Rhodes.
They really like Cody.
Best match of the year, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. WrestleMania 40. Best moment of the year, Cody Rhodes finishes the story.
Okay, did Dusty ever do a South Korean tour?
Best segment of the year, Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth at WrestleMania 40 kickoff.
Okay.
But here's some other ones. Feud of the year, best feud of the year, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Can't argue with that, really.
Best catchphrase of the year, I believe in Joe Hendry.
Okay, that one came out of fucking sideways, but well, yeah, I guess there you go. But maybe do the South Korean fans know more about American wrestling than the American wrestling fans that pick Maka Shakababi for the best wrestler?
Well, this is not an outrageous list so far. Best newcomer of the year, Jacob Fatu. Best mic worker, CM Punk.
Boom.
Best non-wrestler, Paul Levesque.
Can Tony Khan get the South Koreans to book his program?
Well, it keeps going on from there. Let's go to the worst list.
Besides a little Cody favoritism, you can't argue with a lot of that.
Worst male wrestler, Jon Moxley.
Oh, God damn. They are more in tune than the American fans.
Worst female wrestler, Mercedes Moné.
Boo! What in the world?
Worst tag team of the year, the Young Bucks. Worst babyface of the year, Jon Moxley. Worst heel of the year, Jon Moxley. Worst champion of the year, IWGP champion, Jon Moxley.
Oh.
Worst worker of the year, Jon Moxley.
Jon Moxley.
Worst match of the year, Jimmy versus Jey Uso, WrestleMania. You hated that match, so you can't disagree there.
I hated it, but I wish Moxley had gotten a clean sweep.
Worst moment of the year, Jon Moxley choking Bryan Danielson with a plastic bag. Worst feud of the year, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Worst catchphrase of the year, Death Jitsu, Jon Moxley. Worst newcomer, Kazuchika Okada. Worst mic worker of the year, Kazuchika Okada. Worst non-wrestler of the year, Tony Khan. Most overrated of the year, Jon Moxley. Most underrated of the year, Chad Gable. I don't know what this means, Christian Awards. Chad Gable dead from Wyatt's 6th debut. I don't know what that means. Worst move of the year?
Is it because Christian is always talking about people's fathers being dead?
Oh, maybe. I guess
something like that. Maybe the translator didn't.
Worst move of the year? John Moxley sleeper hold. Worst gimmick of the year, John Moxley. Worst news of the year, AEW releases all-in London security footage. Worst theme of the year, It's Our Moment, DIY's theme song. Worst brand of the year, AEW. Worst event of the year, AEW Wrestle Dream 2024.
Featuring John Moxley.
Worst part-time wrestler of the year, Adam Copeland. Worst booker of the year, Tony Khan. Worst main event of the year, Bryan Danielson versus John Moxley. Wrestle Dream. Worst face turn, Adam Cole. Worst heel turn, John Moxley. Botch of the year, Adam Page sneaks out early during Jay White versus Christian Cage on Dynamite. And finally, worst entrance, John Moxley.
John Moxley.
So what are your thoughts on the popularity of John Moxley in South Korea?
Well, John, more importantly, what do you think about your popularity?
I don't have any witty comebacks because I didn't know I was going to sweep the fucking awards. I'd like to thank Tony.
I'd like to thank Pak Song Nam.
Oh, my God.
For representing me in Korea. They have a better handle on the wrestling business than the American fans do, unfortunately, over there in South Korea. Are these Leo Garibaldi's grandchildren or something?
It does make you wonder about the international thoughts of non-WWE wrestling. You know, there's a lot of parts of the world where either their first exposure to wrestling or the first wrestling that looked major league was WWE, and it still is. If they're watching AEW, and then you're watching the spectacle of WWE, again, it shouldn't be a surprise. They're basically voting the same way, if this is real, and I don't have any reason to doubt it because apparently other people have said it too. They're voting the same way a lot of people here in the States would.
But boy, I tell you what, they love them some Cody and they don't like no Moxley.
Well, there are the South Korean Wrestling Awards for...
Worst lunch, anything John Moxley eats.
They love Cody, they hate Moxley.
Worst illness, anything Moxley has.